You fear being alone because you haven't met yourself yet. That's not a diagnosis. That's a mirror. And what I'm about to tell you will either set you free or make you run. Most people run. They run toward noise, toward people, toward distraction, toward anything that fills the hollow space inside them. But you, if you're still listening, you're different. Something told you to stay. Something inside is tired of running. The truth is, you are exhausted, not physically tired, though you might be that too. You are soul tired. You are tired of performing, tired of being what everyone else needs you to be, tired of smiling when you're breaking, tired of saying I'm fine when you're drowning, tired of the constant echo of other people's opinions living inside your head like unwanted guests who never leave. And the deepest pain, the thing you won't admit to anyone, is that you don't actually know who you are when nobody's watching. Strip away the job, the social media, the relationships, the role you play in your family, and there's this terrifying emptiness, this question that haunts you at 3 a.m. If I'm alone, am I even real? You've filled every second of your life so you wouldn't have to ask that question. You scroll, you text, you work late. You say yes to things you don't want to do because the alternative is silence. You surround yourself with people, yet you feel profoundly, devastatingly alone. And that contradiction, that paradox, is destroying you slowly. You've been taught that being alone is dangerous, that loneliness is a sign of failure, that something is wrong with you if you don't have enough friends, enough followers, enough people who get you. Society has programmed you to believe that your value comes from external validation, from being wanted, from being needed, from being chosen by others. So you chase that. You chase it desperately. And when you get it, it feels empty. Because deep down, you know the truth. If everyone left tomorrow, you would crumble. Because you don't know how to be with yourself. That's not weakness. That's waking up. Listen to me carefully. The greatest people who ever walked this earth had something in common. They learned to be alone with themselves. They didn't fear the silence. They didn't need constant input. They didn't measure their worth by how many people love them. They learned the secret that transforms everything. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness is a wound. It's the pain of disconnection. It's the ache of being misunderstood. But solitude is a sanctuary. It's the place where you finally meet yourself. It's where transformation happens. And you're afraid of it because in silence, you can't hide. In silence, all your wounds surface. All your questions demand answers. All your doubts become loud. So you've been running from yourself for years, maybe your whole life. And I'm here to tell you it's time to stop. Here's what most people don't understand about how human beings are designed. You are not a lion that roams in packs. You might think you are. You might think you need constant companionship to feel whole. But a lion, a real lion, not the domesticated version, a lion is a solitary creature by nature. Yes, they live in pride sometimes, but a lion's power doesn't come from the pride. It comes from within. A lion in a cage surrounded by 1,000 other lions is still a lion. A lion alone in the African wilderness is still a lion. The lion doesn't change. The identity doesn't shift based on who's watching. But you change based on the room you walk into. You become a different person with different people. You soften your edges for some. You sharpen them for others. You hide parts of yourself. You exaggerate other parts. And the person you become when you're alone, do you even recognize them anymore? This is the crisis of modern existence. You have forgotten how to be alone with yourself. And because you've forgotten, you're trying to find yourself through other people. You're asking partners to complete you. You're asking friends to validate you. You're asking the internet to tell you who you are. And none of it works. Because completion, validation, and identity don't come from outside. They come from within. Always have. Always will. There's something that happens in the soil before anything grows. In darkness. In silence. A seed falls into the earth, and for a long time, months, sometimes longer, nothing happens. From the outside, it looks like nothing is occurring. It looks like the seed is wasted, like it was pointless, like it should have done something more, been something more. The seed is underground. It's dark. It's alone. It's being crushed by the weight of earth above it. But inside that seed, something is transforming. The seed is not waiting for the right conditions. The seed is not praying for a better climate. The seed is not wishing it had more sunshine. The seed is using the very conditions that seem like obstacles, the darkness, the pressure, the cold isolation. It's using those things to break apart, to crack open, to build the roots that will sustain everything that comes later. And then one day, without warning, without celebration, the seed pushes through the soil. The plant emerges, and now it has roots deep enough to weather any storm. The isolation created strength. The darkness created depth. The pressure created resilience. But here's what most seeds do now that they've emerged. They panic. They immediately seek the attention of the sun. They immediately try to connect with other plants. They lose themselves in the forest of other growing things, and they forget the strongest part of me was built in darkness, alone, underground, in isolation. You are that seed. And you're not supposed to have emerged yet. You're still underground. You're still in the darkness. You're still in the pressure. And your entire being is trying to escape it instead of understanding it, instead of letting it make you. There's a man, let me tell you about him. Not because he's famous, but because he's real. This man spent years building a successful life. He had the right job, the right partner, the right friends, the right neighborhood. Everything looked perfect from the outside. And then his life fell apart. His company collapsed. His relationship ended. His friends became silent when he needed them most. And suddenly he was alone, truly alone, in a small apartment with just his thoughts. And in that loneliness, he had no choice but to finally ask the questions he'd avoided his whole life. Who am I without the job title? Who am I without the relationship status? Who am I when nobody's watching? And in that darkness, he discovered something. He discovered that he actually liked the person he'd been running from. He discovered that his own company was enough, that his own thoughts were worth listening to, that his own presence was enough to fill a room. It took him a year, a full year of being alone before he could be comfortable with himself. But when he emerged, when people came back into his life and he chose to let them in, it was different. He wasn't seeking validation anymore. He wasn't desperate for connection. He was choosing connection from a place of wholeness. And that changed everything. His relationships became deeper. His work became more meaningful. His life became actually lived, not performed, because he'd finally done the work of being alone with himself. Here's the secret that nobody wants to hear. You cannot truly love another person until you love yourself. You cannot truly connect with others until you've connected with yourself. You cannot truly give until you've learned to be full inside. All of that is true and is exhausting to hear, because it means the work is on you. It means you can't fix this through another relationship. You can't fix it through more followers. You can't fix it through being busier. You can't fix it through any external solution. The only solution is internal. The only way out is in. Your manufacturer knew this when your design was created. I'm not speaking about religion here. I'm speaking about physics. I'm speaking about truth. Whoever or whatever designed human consciousness knew that growth happens in solitude, that mastery requires isolation, that greatness demands seasons alone. Your design includes this need. You're not broken because you crave solitude sometimes. You're awake. You're responding to your own design. But society has convinced you that need is pathological. That desire for alone time means you're antisocial or depressed or broken. So you ignore it. You override it. You push yourself toward constant connection and constant activity. And you wonder why you're exhausted. You're fighting your own design. You're swimming against the current of how you built. I want you to think about something. There are seasons in nature. Spring doesn't complain about not being summer. Winter doesn't apologize for being cold and quiet. Each season does what it's supposed to do. Each season has a purpose. And there are seasons in human life too. But we've tried to eliminate them. We've created a society where it's always summer, always social season, always the time for visibility and connection and activity. What if your season right now is winter? What if you're supposed to be quiet? What if you're supposed to be turning inward? What if the pain you're feeling about being alone is actually the feeling of fighting against your season? Most of us never develop an internal life because we never sit with ourselves long enough for one to form. We have an external life, what we do, where we go, who we're with, but internally we're empty, we're hollow, there's nobody home. So when we're alone, it's torture because there's nothing there. No rich internal world, no thoughts that fascinate us, no dreams that sustain us, no purpose that calls us forward. A craftsman, I want to tell you about a craftsman. This man worked with stone for 40 years. And people would ask him, don't you get lonely? Don't you want to be around people more? Why do you spend so much time alone with your stone? And he would say something that nobody understood at the time. He said, I'm never alone. The stone is my companion. And through the stone, I'm learning the language of patience. I'm learning the language of precision. I'm learning the language of creation itself. This man would spend hours alone, carving, creating, refining. And each day, his work became more beautiful, more detailed, more alive. People would see his final creations and they would weep. They would ask him, how did you do this? How did you know? And he would tell them, I didn't know. I sat with the stone. I listened. I let the pressure teach me. I let the solitude speak to me. The work that moves people deeply is rarely created in crowds. Great art isn't produced during parties. Revolutionary ideas don't emerge from constant social engagement. They emerge in the studio, in the workshop, in the silence, in the time alone, when a person is willing to go deep into themselves and bring something back. But most of us will never create anything of value because we're too afraid to be alone long enough to access it. Here's something else that terrifies you, and I'm going to name it directly. You're afraid that if you're alone for too long, you'll discover you don't actually have a purpose. You'll realize that all your busyness was just distraction. All your activity was just filling time, and there's nothing underneath it. That fear is why you keep running. That fear is why you need constant external validation, because validation from outside yourself is easier than finding it within. But purpose isn't something you find. Purpose is something you designed with. It's not a hidden treasure buried somewhere in the world waiting for you to discover it. It's already in you, in your makeup, in the things that make your heart race, in the things that outrage you, in the things that make you lose track of time because you're so engaged. Purpose is already there, but you'll never find it while you're constantly distracted. This is the hard truth. Being busy is not the same as being purposeful. You can be very, very busy and completely empty inside. You can have a full calendar and a hollow soul. You can be surrounded by people and feel completely unknown. And you can be profoundly alone and feel profoundly connected to meaning. These things don't match up the way you think they do. Most of what we call purpose in modern society is actually just someone else's expectation that we've internalized as our own. It's the goal your parents wanted. It's the life your friends think you should live. It's the role society thinks you should play. But your actual purpose, the thing you were uniquely designed to do, that's something quieter. It's something you'll only hear in silence. And there's this other thing nobody talks about, the pressure. The constant pressure of being around other people's opinions, other people's needs, other people's expectations. It's crushing. It's reshaping you. It's making you into something you're not. Like pottery in the hands of a careless artist. You're being molded by every opinion, every judgment, every look you think people are giving you. And you're fragile in their hands. You break easily because you're not solid. But when you take that same clay, when you take yourself and you put yourself under pressure and solitude, something different happens. You harden, you develop, you become stronger, not harder in a cold way, but resilient, solid, able to withstand pressure without breaking. The pressure that destroys you in the presence of others can actually make you stronger when you're alone and choosing the pressure yourself. There's a reason they say that forests grow in silence. A real forest, not the curated garden version, but an actual wild forest. It grows mostly in silence. The trees don't announce their growth. The roots don't seek validation. There's no applause when a tree reaches a certain height. There's no social media where the trees compare their growth to other trees. There's just the quiet work of reaching, growing, deepening roots, spreading branches for years in silence, until one day you drive through that forest and you're overwhelmed by the beauty of what grew there, all while you weren't watching. You are that forest, and you're trying to grow on a stage with an audience, with constant feedback, and it's not working because you're not designed for that. Your growth is designed to happen in silence. But I need you to hear this too. There's a difference between solitude and isolation. Solitude is chosen. It's intentional. It's the time you carve out to be with yourself. Isolation is forced. It's the loneliness of being alone when you don't want to be. And right now, many of you are experiencing isolation and calling it solitude. You're lonely. You're hurting. You're without real connection. And I'm not here to tell you that's fine. I'm not here to romanticize your pain. What I'm saying is this: if you're going to be alone anyway, and most of us will be, at least sometimes, then you might as well make it count. You might as well use it. You might as well turn isolation into solitude. Turn the forced time alone into chosen time for growth. That's the transformation that changes everything. Before I continue, I need you to answer something honestly. Don't answer me, answer yourself. Here it is. When was the last time you were completely alone, no phone, no distraction, no noise, and you didn't panic? When was the last time you could sit with yourself for even 1 hour and feel at peace? If you can't remember, then something is very wrong, and you know it. If you're still listening, if you're still here, something inside you is waking up. Something is recognizing the truth. You're tired of running. You're recognizing that external solutions haven't worked. You're beginning to understand that the answer you've been seeking is not out there, it's in here. It's been in here the whole time. So here's what needs to change. Starting now, not next month, not when things calm down, not when you have more time, now. You need to become friends with yourself. This is not metaphorical. You need to develop an actual relationship with yourself the way you would with another person. You need to listen to yourself. You need to respect your own needs. You need to take care of your own well-being. You need to be loyal to yourself. You need to stop betraying yourself by saying yes to things you don't want to do. You need to stop abandoning yourself to please other people. And to do this, you need time alone. Not because you're depressed, not because something is wrong with you, but because it's the only way to actually build that relationship. Start small. Start with 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes a day where you are completely alone, no phone, no noise, no distraction, just you. And in those 15 minutes, notice what comes up. Notice the thoughts that emerge. Notice the feelings. Notice the quiet voice that's been trying to reach you but couldn't because you wouldn't stop talking, wouldn't stop running. In the beginning, it will be uncomfortable. your mind will race. Your anxiety might spike. You might feel the urge to distract yourself. That's normal. That's expected. That's actually a sign that you're doing it right, because you're finally slowing down enough for the real stuff to surface. But if you keep going, if you push through that discomfort, something begins to shift. After a few weeks, you'll notice that the anxiety lessens. The racing thoughts settle. And in that settling, something emerges. Clarity, peace, knowing a sense of yourself that's stable and real and not dependent on anyone else's opinion. This is where your power is. This is where everything changes. I'm going to tell you something that will either set you free or you'll reject it completely. There's no middle ground with this one. You need to hear it anyway. You have already been rejected by the only person whose rejection actually matters: yourself. That's the real wound. That's the real abandonment. Not the friend who ghosted you, not the family member who didn't understand, not the partner who left. The real abandonment is the way you treat yourself, the way you speak to yourself, the way you push yourself to be something you're not, the way you ignore your own needs, the way you abandon yourself to gain approval from others. And until you forgive yourself for that, until you choose yourself, until you decide that your own company is worth something, know that your own company is everything, you will keep seeking that outside. You will keep looking for someone else to rescue you. You will keep waiting for someone to see your worth and validate it for you. But nobody can do that for you. Not really. They can help. They can support. They can love you. But they cannot give you the one thing you're actually seeking, themselves choosing you. No, wait. That's not it. You're seeking yourself choosing you. You're seeking the moment when you finally look at yourself and you say, you're worth it. You're enough. You're valuable. And I choose you. I choose me. I am going to be loyal to myself. I am going to take care of myself the way I would care for someone I love completely. That moment, when that finally happens, everything changes. Not because external circumstances change, but because you've changed. You are no longer seeking completion outside yourself. So when people show up in your life, you're choosing them. You're not desperate for them. You're not needing them to feel whole. And that changes the entire dynamic. That's when real relationships begin. There's a woman I want to tell you about. She spent her entire adult life in relationships. Some good, some toxic. But she was never without one. And she told me once, I didn't know how to be alone. The thought of being single terrified me more than being with someone who hurt me. She knew the relationship was wrong. She felt it in her bones. But she chose the wrong relationship over the loneliness of being alone. Can you relate? Can you see yourself in that? One day, circumstances forced her to be alone. And at first, it was exactly what she feared. The loneliness was overwhelming, but she stayed with it. She didn't immediately jump into another relationship to escape it. And in that staying, something happened. She began to discover things about herself she'd never known. Things she liked. Things she wanted to do. Dreams she'd abandoned. She began to laugh at her own jokes. She began to enjoy her own company. She began to build a life that was actually hers. 6 months into this solitude, someone came into her life. Not because she was looking, but because she was finally whole enough to recognize a whole person. And the relationship that formed was completely different from anything she'd experienced before, because it was between two complete people choosing each other, not two broken people trying to use each other to feel less empty. And she told me I would go through that painful alone time again and again, because it gave me this, it gave me myself. And that's worth more than any relationship. This is the revolution you're being invited into. It's not comfortable. It's not fast. It's not what Instagram is selling you. But it's real. And it works. And it changes everything. Here's what happens in your life when you finally make friends with yourself. You grow. You heal. You rise. Not because someone else is there to witness it or validate it, but because you're doing it for you. For no one else. And that's the most powerful motivation that exists. You start making different choices. You say no to things that don't serve you. You say yes to things that do. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You stop abandoning your own needs to meet other people's expectations. You become dangerous in the best possible way. Dangerous to anyone who was counting on your smallness. Dangerous to anyone who was feeding off your need for approval. Dangerous to any system that needed you to be less than you are. And some people won't like this. Some people accuse you of being selfish, of changing, of becoming cold or distant. Let them, because you're not changing. You're finally becoming yourself. And some people are very comfortable with the you that you've been. The small version, the people-pleasing version, the self-abandoning version. They will feel threatened by this. They will try to pull you back. But if you're really awake now, if you've really heard this message, then nothing they do will move you, because you're grounded in something stronger than their opinion. You're grounded in your own knowing, in your own worth, in your own company. Let me tell you something about how growth actually works. It doesn't happen in comfort. It happens under pressure. It happens when you're forced to be alone with problems that require you to be creative, to be resourceful, to be courageous, to stop being a victim of circumstance and start being an architect of your own life. The pressure that's crushing you right now, the loneliness that's breaking you, is not your enemy. It's actually your greatest teacher. It's teaching you who you are when nobody's watching. It's teaching you that you're stronger than you thought. It's teaching you what actually matters. It's teaching you what you're made of. Most people never get that lesson because they never let themselves feel the pressure. They immediately run. They immediately distract. They immediately seek comfort. And so they never develop the strength that comes from staying with discomfort until it transforms into clarity. But you're different now because you understand that the work happens in silence. The growth happens in solitude. The transformation happens when you're alone with yourself and you finally stop running. This doesn't mean you become a hermit. This doesn't mean you stop having relationships or friendships or community. It means that those relationships become a choice rather than a need. It means they're built on a solid foundation rather than desperation. It means you're no longer trying to extract wholeness from another person because you've already found it within yourself. And here's what's beautiful about that. When you become whole within yourself, you have so much more to give to others. You have genuine connection to offer. You have real love to offer. Not the desperate, needy version, but the generous, stable, powerful version that actually changes people's lives. Your presence becomes healing. Your words become powerful. Your energy becomes magnetic. Not because you're trying to be attractive or impressive, but because you're real, you're centered, you're at peace with yourself. And that peace is contagious. People feel it. People are drawn to it. People are changed by it. This is the secret that everyone's been looking for. Not in the right relationship, not in the right opportunity, not in the right amount of money or followers or achievements. It's been in the quiet work of becoming so at peace with yourself that other people's opinions can no longer move you, that other people's abandonment can no longer destroy you, that other people's jealousy can no longer make you doubt yourself. You become immovable, not cold, not disconnected, but immovable in your own knowing, unwavering in your own sense of self. And that is actually more powerful than anything else you could possibly achieve. So the question becomes, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to spend time alone? Are you willing to face your own thoughts without running? Are you willing to build a relationship with yourself the way you've been trying to build relationships with other people? Are you willing to be loyal to yourself even when it's unpopular? Are you willing to choose yourself? Because if the answer is yes, then your life is about to transform, not overnight, not without difficulty, but genuinely, fundamentally, in a way that changes everything. Start today. Start with 15 minutes. Sit alone, no phone, no distraction, no noise, just you and your own company. And notice Notice what comes up. Notice what you've been running from. Notice the voice inside you that's been trying to reach you but couldn't because you wouldn't be still. That voice is your truth speaking to you. That voice is your purpose calling to you. That voice is your destiny trying to get your attention. And the only way to hear it is to stop, to be still, to be alone. To finally, after all this time, sit down with yourself and listen. Because you are not supposed to spend your entire life running from yourself. You are not supposed to die without ever really knowing who you are. You are not supposed to get to the end and realize you spent all that time trying to be what everyone else wanted instead of becoming who you actually are. Your life is supposed to be a work of art that only you can create. And art requires solitude. It requires time. It requires pressure. It requires seasons of darkness and seasons of light. It requires you to be willing to be alone in the studio while you're creating the most important masterpiece of your life, the masterpiece of yourself. The version of you that only emerges when you stop performing and start being. This is your calling. This is your invitation. This is your time. You've been waiting for permission. You've been waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to be alone. You've been waiting for someone to validate your need for solitude. I'm telling you now, you don't need permission. You don't need validation. You need to make a decision right now, today. Are you going to continue running, or are you going to finally turn around and face yourself? Because when you do, when you finally sit down with yourself, when you finally stop long enough to listen to your own voice, when you finally give yourself the same attention and care you've been given to everyone else, something awakens. Something comes alive. Something that's been dormant inside you begins to emerge. And that is when your real life begins. You grow in silence. You heal in silence. You rise in silence. Until one day you emerge from that silence transformed. Stronger, clearer, more whole, more real, more you. And you discover that you were never alone. You were always with yourself. You just finally learned to see it, to appreciate it, to value it. This is what I want for you. This is what's possible for you. This is what's waiting for you in the silence. So choose yourself today, right now. Choose to sit with yourself. Choose to listen to yourself. Choose to be loyal to yourself. Choose to be alone without being lonely. Choose to do the work that only you can do. Choose to become the person you were designed to become. Because your destiny is not waiting for the right moment. Your purpose is not going to announce itself at the perfect time. Your real life is not going to begin when circumstances are ideal. It begins now. It begins when you decide to finally show up for yourself. The same way you've been showing up for everyone else. You are enough. You are whole. You are valuable. And your own company is enough. That's not a consolation prize. That's not settling. That's the foundation of everything that works. That's the ground upon which real life is built. This is your time. Go into the silence. Find yourself there. And then come back into the world as the person you were meant to be all along. If this message has reached into your heart and touched something real, something true, something that's been waiting to hear this, then share it. Share it with someone you know who's running. Share it with someone who's lonely. Share it with someone who's lost themselves trying to be everything for everyone else. Because they need this message. They need to know they're not broken. They need to know that solitude is not punishment. They need to know that being alone with yourself is actually the greatest gift you can give yourself. And if you want more messages that touch the depths of your soul, that call you into your destiny, that remind you who you really are, then stay connected, because your journey has just begun. The real work starts now. The transformation is waiting, and it begins in silence, in solitude, in the beautiful, terrifying, transformative moment when you finally decide to show up for yourself.